Good evening. Calling to order the February 11th, 2019 Legislative Affairs Subcommittee. We'll all rise and salute the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Roll call of the members of the Legislative Affairs Subcommittee. Councilor Novoselsky, absent. Councilor Powers, absent. Councilor Rizzo?
Here.
Here. Councilor Zambuto?
Here.
Here. And Chairman Keefe?
Here.
Here. Quorum is present.
Also in attendance is Councilor Guanasso, Councilor McKenna, and Councilor Patch. Thank you for joining us tonight. We also have in the audience Police Chief Guido and Superintendent Argenzio, and also Jim Rose from the Parking Department, Parking Director. So tonight, or today, we're going to discuss the proposed ordinance change for the for the resident permit parking program citywide. This was drafted by Councilor Janino and Councilor McKenna with the assistance of Madam Clerk Melnick. And there's also been a few requests and or some conversations on some possible adjustments that would like to be made. So at this time, I'd like to open it up to the councilors that are in attendance, council members of this Legislative Affairs first, and ask if there's any questions or concerns or something that would looking to be added.
Mr. Chairman?
Mr. President.
Mr. Chairman, I selected this particular item as the single largest item that faces the community this year. And as President, I looking forward to this being enacted based on the greater majority of the people out there are looking for some sort of relief in parking. This is a way to start it. Well, it's not a cure-all for everybody, but I think that what we have is we're at least going to the board with a plan. A couple of years ago, we allowed it to go astray, and only 3 or 4 people were interested, and we were trying to critique it to their needs. What we need to do, Mr. Chairman, is, and you know, through the hard work of many people who have put an effort into this, is to get a plan on board as soon as possible, and then we critique it as we go along and make it work for our community. But again, this is the major issue facing our community, and we have to address it sooner than later. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Council President Guanasso. I totally agree with you, and this is probably one of the most important tasks that we'll have this year. But again, I'll open it up to the rest of the council, and then I'll save some of my thoughts. Councilor Rizzo.
Right now, Mr. Chairman, I don't have any specific recommendations. There's just so much to take in, and it is a major change in the way that people across the city, if this is in fact going to be put out citywide, it's going to be a major change for how people park their own vehicles, and obviously if people come over and visit them throughout the course of time. I do want to thank Councilor McKenna and Councilor Janino for their hard work, along with the City Clerk Ashley Melnick. You know, there clearly is a parking problem in the city, and I concur with the President, Councilor Guanasso, that it is a big problem and has been a big problem in this city for an awful long time. But I would just like to ask that the City Council, along with the Traffic Commission, who I believe at the end of the day is the one that will have to impose this on our residents, I hope that, you know, they don't just expedite it for the sake of putting something on the books, because as the saying always goes, the devil is in the details. And Revere is not like every other city that has citywide sticker parking. There are parts of this community that I've talked to who really don't want to see, you know, sticker parking. They don't want to have to worry about visitors coming over and having enough placards for them or not having enough placards for them. You know, I just know myself, yesterday, I had visitors over, just family, my parents and my kids. I had 4 vehicles that were there. Now, fortunately, I have a driveway, and they were all able to park. I think they were all able to park there except for 1 vehicle. But, you know, there are parts of the city that will not necessarily, you know, want or need this. So I'm just hopeful that they take that into consideration. You know, there are a large, you know, certainly Councilor Guanasso's area, Councilor McKenna's area. I know Councilor Janino and, you know, her street, and, you know, there's certain streets absolutely that you know, could use this, and there are many benefits that come from it. But I'm just hopeful that the Traffic Commission, as they're deliberating and going through this, they do it in a way that, you know, makes sense for the majority of the people, and certainly in the areas who need it. That's all I have right now, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Councilor Rizzo. Councilor Zambudo.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I agree with my colleague completely. However, you know, I think that this has to be a long and deliberate process, and that we don't want to do anything just to do something. We want to make sure we get this right. So it's going to take a lot of thought and a lot of effort, not to just say, oh, we need complete resident parking, and then realize we've made a mistake in some areas. So let's be deliberative about this, and let's do it right and get it done this year, but not in haste. I don't want to do anything in haste. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Janino.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Councilor McKenna and myself, along with the clerk and several other members of the community, worked very hard on this ordinance. And even though it's just coming before the council, there's months of work and research that went behind this. It was very well thought out, and we're definitely open to seeing the Traffic Commission review it and make any changes there may be. However, as it's presented, I think it works. I think it's going to work good for the community, and we tried to keep in mind, you know, the neighborhoods that really aren't crying out for it, that don't need it, to make sure that they're accommodated, as well as the neighborhoods that have a desperate need for it. And I think the way that it was written was very inclusive. Another huge feature about the way it was written is that it's easier to enforce. So something that we need to keep in mind when we're putting these citywide ordinances out is, how are we going to enforce it? And we need to make sure that it's written in a manner that we give our inspectors and police officers and the parking department a way that they can enforce it that makes sense, and a way that they can enforce it that is easy for the citizens to interpret. If you make too many exceptions and, well, this neighborhood's like this and this area is like this, it becomes almost impossible for residents to understand, people visiting to understand, and for law enforcement to enforce. So by giving it some structure and organizing it the way that we did, it is friendly both for the resident and for the city that'll be enforcing it. So I look forward to it going to the Traffic Commission. I want to thank my colleague, Councilor McKenna. It was a great effort, and all of our help from the clerk, as well as input from the Traffic Commission. So I look forward to seeing it move forward, and I hope that it can be a step to alleviate the parking issue in Revere. It's not a solution, but it's a step. And I think if we keep working in the right direction, we'll get there. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Councilor. We're going to save questions for the.
I just want to ask a quick question.
We're just,
I want to know what the program is. Are you going to tell me how it's going to work?
right, correct. We're going to go, well, we can give you a copy of this after it's discussed in Traffic Commission, or some of this might be public.
What I hear is I can only park on my street, but that's
So don't listen to rumors.
possible.
Correct. So we're going to discuss some of those, and I'd love to invite you up once we finish this. And you can certainly bring up some of your concerns, but there's definitely rumors. There's always going to be rumors, and that's why we want to help clear some of the air on some of that tonight. And just even some of the councils, there's going to be some, just listen to it all, and then you can ask the questions, and we'll give you the best answers we can, and the Traffic Commission is going to help assist in those as well. But this is not going to be rolled out overnight. This is something that's going to take some time and discussion. So, Councilor McKenna.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. To your answer, sir, this is not set in stone, and there's room for improvement. There's room for, if things aren't working, we can certainly go back and tweak it. It's not set in stone. but it will help the city, because what we're experiencing right now is two major issues. Traffic, well, there's a couple, but the most important are traffic and parking. And the reason why parking is so terrible in the city is because we have a lot of people that are renting rooms out. And they're renting rooms out to not people that are registered their cars in Revere. So hold on. You can have your chance to talk later, okay? I just want you to know that I have 25 people living next door to me. They're renting 8 rooms out, $650, $700 a room, okay? We have 10 or 11 cars. I have permit parking in front of my car. Only 2 have registered their car. The other ones are parking where there's no permit parking. So what they're doing is they're taking up people's spaces on Crescent Ave, on Webster Ave, on Summer Street, because there's no permit parking there. And it's not right, because if you live in front of a house, which I have a house, okay, and it's on a hill, and I don't have a driveway, so I need that parking space when I carry my bundles up 45 stairs. I need that parking space. So it's gonna eliminate a lot of these people that won't register their car in Revere because the interest rates are so high, the insurance is so high. So you're gonna eliminate people that are coming from Winthrop, because now Winthrop has permit parking. They're parking in Beachmont. You have people parking from Everett, they're coming to Revere. All these places have permit parking, all these cities have permit parking. We're probably the only city around here that doesn't. And so now they're all taking advantage of us. Before it was the commercial vehicles. We got the commercial vehicles off the road. They were parking from Everett, Chelsea, Winthrop. Now we have an ordinance. We have to do something. We really do. We have to do something. But it's not set in stone. We can tweak it. We can fix it. If it's not working, we'll come back to the table and make it work. So, thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Novoselsky.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Actually, I have several questions and adjustments that I like to see in this. First of all, it was brought up even at the last Traffic Commission about this from the chief, about parking on one street only. Now, right now, under our permit parking in the commuter area, as we'll call it, because there's actually got 2 phases here. You have overnight parking, which I believe that's what we're shooting at right now, from 12 to 5 a.m. Now, the commuter parking is daytime issues. What we're talking now is trying to get the people for overnight parking, if I'm correct, because originally when I heard it, people were talking, well, gee, I don't want people from Ward 6 coming down and parking in Ward 2 during the day and be able to go into Boston and go to work and then save, say there's $7 that it costs in the MBTA now. But, this one targets mostly overnight parking and the use of permits and visitor passes. And right now on the books, someone with a permit and questionable on a visitor permit, that they can park on a adjacent street, an immediate adjacent street that has permit parking. And I'll just use an example, Nahant Avenue and Campbell Avenue. Now, you only have 40 spaces on Nahant Ave. You have 60 cars. Where are these other people going to park that live there legitimately? Now, one street over, and they could even park on Dohon Street, which is my street, as an adjacent street off Nahant Ave, because it's an adjacent street, immediate adjacent street. Some people can park on Beach Street. Some people on Beach Street can park on Nahant Ave. So they have that option of where, because not everybody is going to be parking there every single night or every single day. There's always going to be a space. My street at one time was wide open during the day. Now it's not anymore because you have a lot more cars. So I would ask that in this also, that the immediate adjacent street be added somewhere in this package. Okay, and I think it's reasonable and it'll be fair to those who run out of space. Just a typo, and I saw in 1034.03, there was just a typo in III, the current real estate bill. It should be bill, not ball, okay? I recommend that for a night, for this night thing, that we only give out one visitor permit instead of two. There's too many being passed around. If each car is allowed one visitor permit, which I know under this plan it isn't, because it's only one per household. So the only one that can get is the head of the household. So if you have 3 cars in a house, you can get one visitor permit, which I think that's fair. I think the visitor permits were getting out of control. Not only were they giving them to people going into Boston, trying to use them during the day and going into Boston, but they were giving to people that were going to Florida for 3-4 days. And I think this will cut back on that stuff, even especially overnight, because there is on E, 1034.0E, it says a vehicle with a placard cannot park without moving for more than 24 hours. So they can't park there for more than one day. So also under G, there was a suggestion about can't be used for more than 3 consecutive days, or in repeated non-consecutive use, not more than 7 days per month. Now it's 10 days under the daytime commuter parking. So that's reducing that, and it's freeing up more space from these people coming in 10 days a month on a sticker. On number, I think we were talking about giving free resident stickers. It's just charging $10 for the visitor pass. And this says 1 a.m. to 5 a.m. I would go to 12 midnight and move it to 5. So, okay, well, I'm just going by these notes.
There's been a few, it is 12 a.m.
Okay, so just looking at that last page in the 1X, I don't know if it's supposed to be 1X resident parking 24 hours and 1X resident parking streets overnight enforcement, if that's supposed to be a different category or not. So that's something we have to may have to renumber, so.
The streets for those categories haven't been chosen yet.
Okay,
Needed input from the city council.
okay, so those are my suggestions, my thoughts, and we definitely need something. We have to protect our neighborhoods, so.
Thank you,
That's what I have, Mr. Chairman, thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Patch.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My ward, Ward 6, probably don't need this as much as the other wards. But I got an email here from a resident who's probably going to speak here tonight, and she makes a lot of good points. But my thing is, I don't think the streets that don't have a problem day or night, but there are that occasional house, like Councilor McKenna said, like I have one on my street that has like 10 cars, the same house as mine, so I don't know how, So that would stop, and I know I get complaints from residents that they have that problem, and they go to the 311, and I've put it in 311, and I get response back that they went to the door but couldn't get in, and that's the end of it. So I wish that we could work on that a little bit more. But to get back to this, so that, like I say, I'm more for the, maybe if we have the night, not during the day, like we really don't need, and the nights we can stop that problem. I mean, I got a few other things, but I don't want to take her thunder away, so she's got, if she would, I'd like to give her, give me the right to give it to you, the email, please. Can I give them the, you don't have to read it, no, she's going to come up.
Thank you, Councilor Patch.
Okay.
And just to clarify, and I'll at this point, I'll open it up to some of the members in the audience. But just to clarify, a majority, and an overwhelming majority of this would only be enforced overnight, 12 a.m. to 5 a.m. So it would not impact your house guest unless they were staying overnight, of course. So that's one of the rumors that we have to disperse is this is overnight. So if you're looking at going down the street and coming to your friend's house during the day, it's not going to be an issue, parking on those streets. But it's going to be, a majority of this is going to be overnight. And then the other streets that already have some of the commercial or some of the commuter areas that already have parking enforcement in play, that would not be altered due to this. So just want to make sure that everyone understands this is a majority of overnight parking permits.
Mr. Chairman, if I may just add to what you just said, because it was one of my points that I was making. Yeah, I think a lot of it, is because these streets aren't listed where this enforcement's going to be. So where is the overnight and where is it going to be 24-hour, So, I think once that's all laid out, I could feel a lot better about it, knowing that it's only between midnight and 5 a.m. I'm okay with that. But, I think that's going to have to all be ironed out with the Traffic Commission.
Correct, and I think that the good thing is most of the ward councils as well as the at-large councils are going to be able to work with the Traffic Commission and identify where the needs would be best served. So at this point, it looks like we have Chief Guido wanted to come up and speak.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman. I have a few things. The first thing is, I agree with Councilors Rizzo and Zambudo. Whatever we do has to be enforceable. So for it to be enforceable, we're going to need signage, and that's a huge expense. So I just want the council to be aware that if we roll this out, we're going to have to put signs on every single street in the community where we put the parking. I agree with the overnight parking. Almost every city around us is doing it, 12 a.m. to 5 a.m. And I don't think that's a problem, but there will have to be signage. I don't agree with 24-hour parking except in the commuter areas. And even those areas, I think visitors should just be allowed to park maybe up to an hour or 2 hours without any placard. When the meter maids go by, they can note the time down. I don't think there's going to be that many visitors. But if someone wants to go visit their mother or their father for lunch, they shouldn't have to have a visitor pass. So maybe that would be a sensible way to handle the visitors in the daytime. The overnight parking, you absolutely need the visitor passes, because that's the only way we're going to weed out the rooming houses and the illegal apartments and the cars that are parking here from other cities overnight. I agree with Council Novoselsky. We're going to need adjacent streets modified, because a lot of streets won't have enough parking once we go into resident parking to fit all the cars. I don't think there should be a fee for the stickers, only for maybe the visitor stickers. And I think if we go past the midnight to 5 a.m., we should roll it out maybe ward by ward and do the wards with the most problem to the wards with the least problem. And another issue we're going to have to decide is how many cars should be allowed per dwelling. Because if people want to change their registration, and like Council McKenna said, they're renting out rooms, then they can easily just change their address at the registry, and the next thing you'll have 12 cars registered to a residence. So we might have to discuss maybe with the building department what's a reasonable amount of cars per dwelling. And then you wouldn't be able to get more than that number of stickers for your cars. So that's basically all I have to say, but I think the signage is going to be a huge factor in this and a huge cost. And I don't see, we're not like Winthrop, there's one way in, 2 ways in and 2 ways out. There's too many ways in and out of the city. So to enforce something, people need to be aware of it. And without signage, I don't see us being able to enforce it. So I just wanted to let the council consider those points.
Thank you, Chief.
And the Traffic Commission will also.
Yep, all very good points.
Thank you.
Anyone else looking to speak?
John Vanetti, 34 Dana Street. I agree with the chief, basically what he said. I'm going to give you some statistics here. I live on Dana Street. I have 17 homes on Dana Street. It consists of ones, twos, threes, sixes, 1-6. There's 24 parking spaces on that street. There is 9 driveways. Remember now, there's 9 driveways, but the minute you make the curve cut, you have to put 2 in there because you already lost 1 spot when you make the curve cut, because that car could have parked there anyways. So a driveway doesn't necessarily gain you anything if you don't make it 2. Now, when I come home sometimes, early in the morning, like 7 o'clock from the gym, there is no place to park on Dana Street. You gotta park on Garfield Ave. That's why you gotta have someplace else to park other than your main street. But what I'm gonna say here is, up to about a year ago, there was always someplace to park on Dana Street. And on part of Garfield Ave, because there's no homes in one area there, because it's a big corner there, nobody used to be parked there most of the time, okay? Now that we have rooming houses, which we do, but these people are smart in my area, because I checked this morning. Everybody there had a sticker for Dana Street, and they were on Garfield Ave, some of them, because there's no place to park on Dana Street, okay? And there was some overnight people, because it was the weekend, so they come and visit. And some of those were commercial vehicles, all right? Now, to go a little bit further, we need to change our ordinances. When you're building a 2-family, if you can't put 4 parking places, then you shouldn't build a 2-family.
I totally agree with you there, and those are some really good points, but I just want to stick to this part. We only have a 30-minute meeting.
Okay.
So we don't want to get into the.
I'm gonna go fast on here, but
Okay,
you're building some buildings in the area, like on Home Street. No parking, that's not gonna work, that just puts more on Dana Street.
I would agree with you, but this isn't about the resident permit parking program. This isn't about construction, this is about the permit parking program.
Well-
And if anything, you should agree that this would help. This would
Well,
help.
in my area, it's only gonna help if you get rid of the rooming houses. I have no problem.
I agree
don't have-
with you. This
I
will
don't-
help. This will help.
I don't have problem with the permit parking, as long as you leave it the way it is now. 7 to 12 in my area, it works, it stops
If your
the
area-
ETA people.
Agreed.
But those people that did come to that area were all Revere people from down the further end of Garfield Ave. All right? So, what I'm saying is, it all ties in to parking. If you're building buildings without parking, you got a problem.
I agree with you. Great. And I
That's the
totally
problem.
agree, and I think this is gonna help that situation. Thank you.
But we do need, I need to build a park maybe in 3 different streets, like they do in Cambridge. You
Well,
have
the
A,
over-
B, C,
right.
D, and it's a given amount of streets that you can park on other than your own street. And I just showed you, there's not enough parking on Dana Street.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So we have about 5 minutes left. Well, actually, we're gonna go over, but we're gonna go over for about 5 minutes. So if you can come on up, all I'd ask is if everyone, we're gonna give 2 minutes, and if we can just keep it under 2 minutes, it'd be great to give everyone a chance to talk.
I would just appreciate the same amount of time that everyone else has had. Just because I'm the last one maybe speaking, I don't want to be cut too short, okay?
There's just
I would
a few more.
appreciate it. Thank
Yep.
you. My name is Mary Gandolfo, and I live in Revere. Can you hear me? Oh. I live in Revere. I'm a resident and a homeowner. And I want to say that this ordinance here, which I got a copy from the clerk's office directly, so it should have everything in it that's up to date so far. So what I want to say is there are some things in it that are very wrong for residents, that don't exactly work, and I'll explain that. The sticker listing your street name, and it says the ordinance is being made to maximize parking for residents, okay? But the name of your street being on the sticker and only allowing you to park on that particular street, that really doesn't maximize parking for a lot of people. I live on a big main street, and you cannot park on that big main street. So my other car goes next to the next street over, which is fine, and my neighbors love me. No problem. Never been a problem all these years. So I do need that other parking spot, though. And if you say I can only park on my street, obviously that's a problem for me and for other people who live on a big main street. Having the sticker valid for 1 year I just would ask that if this is necessary in some areas of the city, it may not be, but please don't expire things on December 31st during the holidays when people are rushing, families are stressed enough, and everything is going on. Wait till January, after New Year's at least, or February, whatever. That would be really helpful for families. Also, yeah, I do want them to allow you to park on the street nearby, next to you, you know, the nearest street over or whatever. Same place I've been parking for years, I want to just stay there. So the other thing is having your street name on your sticker. I feel that that's a little too much oversharing of information, especially for a woman. I don't really want to have my street name on my sticker. If I go to the mall or I go somewhere, I might be in another city somewhere. I may not want the people who are pulling up next to me or walking by my car to say, oh, she's from Revere. Oh, this is the street she lives on. Nice car, or whatever it is. And I think it's not safe for women especially. That's my feeling on that, putting the street name where you live on your, outside on your car. I don't think that's good. So I'm wondering how it will work for a contractor if, of course, I've heard through today's discussion a little more, that, you know, if you have a contractor coming to your home to give you an estimate, I don't have to go crazy running to City Hall for this person to come look at something in my house.
Correct, this is
I'm
going to be for
assuming
overnight.
the daytime is
Correct.
okay. Okay, well, that's good, because that's not written in here, but that is how it should work. It really makes sense that people can park during the day. The city has got to be flexible and work with citizens on this, and I know people are saying it's, you know, I've heard you folks talking, and, you know, a lot of people are with it and saying it's a wonderful, but I have to say there are some things that are not working for people like me, and I'm sure I'm not the only one. I'm sure there's a lot of people who would like to be here tonight, but they're all working. They're coming home to make supper for the kids, or picking up the kids at daycare and whatnot. So that's part of the problem. People just don't have time to show up here. I'm worried, well, part of my concern also was with snowstorms, summertime. Naturally, people are going to have a barbecue or company over. You know, what happens if you're having 12, 15 friends, or your family's coming for a little tradition?
Ms. Gandolfo, so we have your letter, and I think you're repeating a lot of the similar concerns that some of the people have already brought up. Most of this, like mentioned, is going to be overnight, and I believe, I think your ward council would recommend overnight only in the area you are. So this wouldn't be relative to a summer barbecue, and it would, a lot of the issues you have would be solved very simply. So what I want to do is, we are going to be sending this to the Traffic Commission, and all these concerns are going to continue to be brought up. So we're hearing your concerns, and we're going to continue to address them, so appreciate.
I just have two more words, I think.
Go ahead, 2 more. Go ahead.
Thank you. Anyhow, I feel like this has been paced to be on a fast track, and people want to get it through, but please don't push it through, and don't disrupt people's lives. Think about, I want it to be done in a caring manner, a caring about residents. And Ms. McKenna, you spoke about a problem near your home. And to me, that problem, I thought, should be looked at by inspectional services with all these cars that you're having a problem with. And it's a parking problem because of all this house problem that you're having. So to me, they should be checking that out, should be referred to them. And I think if that happened more, the inspectional services were notified, all this parking wouldn't be a problem so much. It's taken care of right away on that end. But living on a main street, you know, it's a problem. I can't park there. People do pull up in the front and the side, but I don't want my car sideswiped, and I need that spot I have on the side street.
Thank you.
Don't
Thank you, Ms.
forget me.
Gandolfo. Thank you.
Thank you.
And anyone else? Come on up. Anyone else? And Jim Rose? Great.
I have less than 30 seconds to speak, I promise you. My name is Stephen Betterman. I live on 7 Pierview Avenue for about a dozen years, and in Revere for 35 years. I run business in Revere as well. What the ordinance that is currently proposed is that I will be issued with the appropriate paperwork for my personal residence, a parking sticker, a resident parking sticker. If the adjacent street is available, because as most of you may know, that Pierview Avenue is so narrow that there is no way for me to park on Pierview Avenue. And for a decade, I've been parking on Broad Sound Avenue with that permit.
So
Thank you.
thank you for coming up, Mr. Betterman. I've been assured that your street would be listed as Broad Sound because of its proximity to that area and it not necessarily being a true street, so you'd be getting a Broad Sound sticker. Thank you. Mr. Rose?
Jim Rose, Parking Director, City of Revere. I just want to, I was listening to a lot of people discuss this tonight, and when I came on 9 months ago, I was probably a believer of not having permit parking in the City of Revere. After 9 months of being in the parking department, I realized we need to have permit parking, and I really believe the way to roll this plan out is what we're discussing tonight, from midnight to 5 a.m. in the morning. But I actually would like to, if we could amend that, to have it maybe go from midnight to 6 a.m. in the morning. And the reason for that, that extra hour when we're getting early commuters coming into the city, they park there, so to allow it to go to that extra hour, I think would be a big help in moving this forward. But it's something it's needed, and it's actually needed also. Councils in Ward 6, the area that I live in, and some of the councilors here. But I'm seeing more and more 8 ranch homes, 8 and 9 cars parked. Okay, that's not all family members. They're renting rooms, and the only way we're going to end this is to be able to basically have them register their cars in the city, and amongst other ways of dealing with it, I think we can move it in the right direction because it's becoming a problem in all neighborhoods now. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rose. So to wrap this up, and this is going to, oh, I apologize. Oh, thank you. I didn't see him.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Lou Markakis, Century 21 Northeast here in Revere. I just wanted to sort of echo with respect to the adjacent parking issue. It's funny because one of the first questions I get with new people coming into the city, you know, what's the parking situation? What's the parking situation with respect to snow and what happens? And some of the people that I've gotten calls from are the people that live on some of these paper streets or dead ends, and their major concern is the adjacent parking. So we would hope that you would not forget about them. I appreciate and respect Councilor Gennaso's initiative to move this forward. So if we can standardize it like we did in the city of Lynn, we had amendments, but I also understand Councilor Zambudo and Councilor Rizzo with respect to the deliberation. So I would just ask on behalf of the calls that we got from some of those people on the adjacent streets that they're not forgotten with respect to the ordinance. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Markakis. So, again, I appreciate everyone's input, and this is not going to be decided in one day. This isn't going to. It is not going to be decided overnight. Obviously, this has been a conversation that's been ongoing with me and this council for the last 3 years. We've actually had numerous community meetings where I know a number of the people here tonight were in attendance of. No one in the council wants to jam this through. No one in the traffic commission wants to jam this through. We want to get as much community input as possible and probably set some sort of a baseline target. And then, again, if we have to make adjustments after that, we would. But a majority of this is going to be overnight parking, and it would be done, you know, as delicately as possible. But we want to resolve some of the issues that are faced throughout the community. So this will go in front of the, Mr. Argenzio?
Only take 1 second. We have a meeting scheduled for the 28th of February. I know there was a desire to get this out there as fast as humanly possible. This will have to be advertised for 2 weeks. We're kind of close. If it's the council wish, we could push off the traffic commission meeting a couple of weeks, allow some advertising. We could move the traffic commission meeting to the nighttime, so more people would be able to come up and talk. I think from what we're hearing tonight, we need a public hearing just to see what everyone has to say. Not that we'll act on it that night, but just see what the public has to say. And if we're going to advertise this as it's written, and then we'll make the tweaks at the traffic commission, I think That's wise.
I think that's very amendable, and I think that, looking over Councilor Janino and Councilor McKenna, we would all agree that, pushing it back a few weeks, giving everyone a little more ample time to discuss and continue to look at what the community input is, but advertise it a little bit longer would be nice. So, we don't have to put the date out today, but if we put it to 2 weeks into March, that would be helpful.
Right. I know there's a desire to get the thing rolling,
Great.
and so we will, so we won't delay it.
I think that we'd be okay, we'd definitely be okay with that, and I'd be
Okay.
happy to do that.
Thank
So
you.
what we're gonna do is we're gonna put this in front of the Traffic Commission at the, not the 28th meeting, but the meeting following that, to give everyone a little bit more time to discuss and deliberate. And again, the date isn't gonna be just advertised today, but we'll have it out there. And,
Mr. Chairman,
yes,
and I think the key is outreach on this. We want to
Correct.
let every resident know there's going to be this public hearing about this very important subject. So let's not have this just the people that are affected immediately, but let's get everybody to know this is going to happen across the city, and if they have some input, we need their input. Thank you.
thank you, Council. So the date will be well advertised, and just like you heard about today, you'll hear about it be well advertised, and we'll go from there. Thank you, and thank you, Councilor Rizzo, for allowing me some of your time tonight. Meeting adjourned.